Okay. The tragedy that befell my first girlfriend while I was in the military. What's up, YouTube? I'm the real Rayhan, and for those of you that are new to the channel, I tell stories, real life experiences about different things I've encountered at work, in relationships, marriage, parenting, all types of situations, in hopes that you guys viewing the content will find it in some way helpful, and maybe it can prevent you from making some of the same mistakes that I may have made, or help you properly navigate obstacles that may present themselves at some point in your life. But before I get into today's video, I want to take this time once again to shout out the newest members to the channel: Torian Clark, Eric Evans, and Mr. Glover. I want to say welcome to the membership. I want to say thank you and express gratitude for you guys. Thank you once again for all your engagement and support here on the channel. If you guys are interested in becoming a member of the channel and gaining access to exclusive membership perks such as early access to videos and members only videos, the link to join the channel can be found in the description of this video and every video moving forward. So, it is time for the feature presentation of this video: the tragedy that befell my first military girlfriend. Okay. This story takes place on my first military duty assignment, which was in Shaw Air Force Base, which is located in Sumter, South Carolina. Now, for those of you who don't know, Sumter, South Carolina is a very small kind of backwater town. Not much going on in Sumter, not much in Sumter, to be clear. In Sumter, South Carolina, 378 is the route number of the main street, which, if I'm not mistaken, is called Broad Street. Now, on Broad Street, or perhaps it's Main Street, one of the two. Now, on this street, there are everything that you would do for entertainment. I say about 98% of it is going to be found on Broad Street. Okay. They have an AMC movie theater, a Sonics fast food place. Across the street from the Sonics is a Burger King, a McDonald's, and a Wendy's. Behind the Sonics is a Walmart. A short drive away from the Walmart, maybe 1 minute, maybe just across the parking lot, is the Sumter Mall. And across the street from the mall, there is a Baskin Robbins and a restaurant called Zaxby's, which is apparently like a chicken place that hasn't made it up here to the northern states as of yet. That's it. That's all that's in Sumter. I believe Morris College is also in Sumter, but that's really all that's in Sumter. So it's a very high likelihood that if you're dating in Sumter, South Carolina, wherever you take your significant other to have fun with them, you're going to constantly run into the same people at different places. I don't care if you're going to the movies, if you're going to Walmart, to the mall, grocery shopping, to the bank. You're going to be running into the same people because Sumter is rather small and the living areas are somewhat spread out. Okay. Keeping all of that in mind, once I arrived at Shaw Air Force Base, South Carolina, which again was my first duty station, I'm fresh out of tech school. I don't really know a lot of people there on the base. I think I may have met one guy. Excuse me. I met one guy, and it was kind of strange to me. But I met one guy that kind of grew up in the same neighborhood that I grew up in as a child. It was very weird running into this person. But yeah, he had ended up getting stationed there. He and I were friends for a very short period of time when we were younger. We did not really cross paths a whole lot while we were on the duty station because we were both from Southeast DC. We had that in common, so we did kind of have each other's back when people from anywhere else had something negative to say about us or where we were from. But outside of that, not much. But outside of him, I didn't know anybody. I'm trying to make my way through the military. You guys, if you haven't, if you've already seen a video here on the channel entitled "Why Black Men Should Not Join the Military," that speaks about that video very much takes place during the time that I'm speaking about right now. Okay, so if you haven't had a chance to see that video and you're interested in viewing it, it can be found on my channel's homepage. It is one of the top viewed videos on my channel. So while I'm trying to find my way through the military and dealing with all of the things that I were dealing with that I spoke about in the previous video that I just mentioned. Um, I'm 18, 19 years old. So, at 18, 19 years old, you really don't have a whole lot going on. You're still trying to figure out who you are, especially when you're in a whole new place. Now, me being from Washington, D.C., and being stationed in Sumter, South Carolina was like a culture shock. Okay. I'm seeing trees, dirt roads, cotton fields, lots and lots of land in spaced out neighborhoods. It was very different than what I was used to. So, a lot of my time, needless to say, was spent on the base, either going to the gym, going to the commons, not the commissary, the base exchange, the BX is what they call it, or the mini shop at. These were the things that I was doing. I think I bought a video game console at the time, PlayStation 2, and I was playing that in my room a lot because, I didn't really know many people. Fast forward I say maybe about 8, 9, maybe 10 months after I arrived. And a guy that I was in basic training with, he was actually in the same flight with me. His name is Zuri. Zuri ended up being stationed on Shaw Air Force Base. And it was like strange to me to see somebody from my basic training, who was in a totally different squadron, by the way, end up being stationed with me. Come to find out, Zuri is a native of South Carolina. Okay, he's originally from, if I'm not mistaken, Charleston, South Carolina. So it makes perfect sense that he put Shaw Air Force Base as one of his bases of preference so that he can be stationed close to home. So I end up running into Zuri at the dining facility. So, we exchanged numbers. We started kind of, talking, kind of linking up here and there when our work schedules allowed us to. Zuri, same age as me. So he's 19 years old at the time. And we're, like I said, at 19 years old, you're always on a hunt to meet new young ladies. That's kind of what you're spending most of your time thinking of is, where can I go in this place where I have to be to meet women? Zuri had already had a driver's license and a car, so he was able to actually leave off of the base and go exploring much more than I was. I did not have these things when I was 19. I think I ended up getting my first car a little bit later after meeting Zuri and seeing that there was a lot more to, I said a lot more, that there was more to explore outside of the base. Not a lot more, but there was more to explore. Okay. Um, but yeah, so Zuri, he started going out to the malls and seeing all the different things that were in town, trying to figure out what it was to do. Now, Zuri is by all means is a very mild mannered kind of guy. I would say he's more introverted than extroverted, but he is adventurous, so to say, or he likes to explore. You know what I mean? So Zuri comes to my room one day, and I remember this was around the time. Oh my God, I had a crush on her too. Aaliyah. If you guys remember the hip hop artist Aaliyah, I had the hugest crush on Aaliyah. You could not tell me that one day I was not going to marry Aaliyah. That whenever we met, yeah, it was going to happen, right? Zuri had come to my door one day, and it was kind of caught me off guard a little bit, not so much, but a little bit because of how early it was. Now I had gone to the chow hall to get, I believe it was brunch, breakfast. Like it was kind of like that meal that's in between breakfast and lunch. It may have been lunch, but they were still serving some breakfast items. And I remember when I was leaving out of the chow hall, there was something on the television about Aaliyah. I just thought she was going on tour. I didn't catch the whole end of it. But then he showed up in my room probably about 15 minutes after I got there. Um, and he was like explaining to me what happened with Aaliyah. It was like a heartbreaking thing. I remember my heart sinking into my chest when this took place, right? Um, but to kind of lighten the mood after he had given me the bad news, because he knew how much I had a crush on Aaliyah, he was like, "Yo, I've been, I didn't, got a chance to get out of the base, get off the base, drive around this area and try to figure out what's going on, man." And he's like, "Yeah, man, I met this girl. Her name is Minion. I like to call her Filet Mignon because that's what her name reminds me of." And he was like, "Yeah, it's some cool little women around this joint, man." And I'm like, yeah, that's good for you, man. That's what's up, man. Where she? So I assume she's originally from South Carolina. And he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. She not from Charleston. She from this area, but you know what I'm saying? She cool. She real cool. This and that and the other. She work at the Applebee's. That's by the mall. I'm like, oh yeah, I ain't even had a chance to check the mall out or nothing like that. And he was like, yeah, man. Oh, Speaking of the mall, he was like, speaking of Applebee's, yo, it's this joint in there, man. I know you'll like this girl. I know she's your type, man. I call her Trinidad because she looked like she's Trinidadian or something. Like she looks like she from the islands or something like that. And I'm like, for real? You know, I'm real particular about what I like. And he was like, bro, I'm trying to tell you, I think you'll like her. You know what I'm saying? I saw her, and I mean, I was kind of thinking about talking to her, but Mignon came at me, a little bit stronger. So it was easier for me to get to Mignon. So I just went with her. But he was like, man, I think you'll fuck with this girl. I really do. I was like, matter of fact, next time I go, I want you to come with me. So I'm like, all right, bet. Didn't think nothing of it. So I want to say a few days passed, and he hit me up one day on the phone, and he was like, "Yo, I'm about to go past Applebee's to check out my girl. You know what I'm saying? You should come with me." And I was like, all right, I'm gonna go. I really didn't want to go because I wasn't fresh. Now, if you guys know anything about being between the ages of like 15 and 25, you really don't want to be seen out in public any place social unless you're fresh, unless your hair is cut, you got a proper lineup, you got on a fresh outfit, all of that. Now, my outfit was clean. At the time, Avarex was what was in style, so my outfit was clean. Had on a fresh butter Tims. I wasn't fresh out the barbershop though, so my facial hair was, you know what I mean. I didn't have a lineup. And I was just like, man, what the hell, you know what I mean? But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and go with you because I told you I would, and I want to see this chick you talking about. I mean, worst case scenario or best case scenario, I'll see her and I'll get to make a determination whether she's my type or whether she's not, and then I can, come back at a later time and see what's up with her when I'm fresh. So we get in the car. He swings past my room. We get in the car. We drive off base. We go to the Applebee's, which is where they both worked. We get to the Applebee's. It's probably about maybe a 12 to 14 minute drive from the base. Not far. Like I said, Sumter is not big. You can get from point A to point B in Sumter. You're not going to travel that long. So we get there. We go inside, and we get seated at a booth. Now, the hostess took us to our booth. We sat on opposite sides, and I remember a young lady came up to us and she's like, "Hi, my name is Jatika. Welcome to Applebee's. Can I start you guys off with a drink or something of that nature?" Zuri ordered whatever it was he ordered. I believe he got something that was he may have gotten something that was alcoholic. I don't remember. I think that was the reason why he was so fascinated with going to this particular place because he was underage and the young lady that he dated didn't card him. Okay. That was what it was. So I think he got a beer or something like that. I don't drink beer. So I don't know what I got. I think I might have got some type of juice. I don't know. Something like. Um, so then as the waitress leaves, he looks at me and smacks me on the shoulder. He's like, "Nigga, that's her right there. That's Trinidad. That's the one I was telling you about." So I kind of had to look at her. I was like, yeah, she was. She was cute. You know what I mean? She was definitely my speed. Now Jatika's she's like fair skinned like me, probably same complexion as me. She was a little tall, maybe like 5'9", 5'10". I'm 6 feet tall. But she was definitely within the aesthetic that I like. So I'm like, okay. You may know me better than I think you do because this young lady, I mean, she is cute. She is definitely my type. A little tall. You know what I mean? I usually like girls that are between the height of like 5'2" and 5'6". She's a little tall, but she definitely falls within my bracket. When I clean up, when I'm fresh from the barbershop, I'm gonna come back here with you again, and I'm gonna really go smack at her. So Zuri and I, we sit there, we have our, have our drinks, have our meal or whatever. Turns out that his girl, Mignon, she's not there. I think she got sick or had some type of emergency. She had to leave early. That was the reason why he was going because they had texted each other saying that, oh, I'm gonna be at work. Come around this time, I'll be there. But something ended up happening, and she had to leave. So after we have our drinks, our meals, whatever, we let Jatika, we let her know that we're ready for the check. Um, Now she's like, okay, are you guys paying separately or is it one check? I'm like, yeah, we're definitely paying separately, right? So she brings us the little leather foldable card things that she puts your checks into. She hands him his, and then she sets mine's down on the table. We thank her, and she steps off. So he opens his joint. to get his card ready so he can pay for his stuff. And I opened mine because I don't even know how much I just spent. It wasn't much, but I opened mine just to check out the price. And when I open it, what I find inside next to the receipt is a piece of paper that has her name and her phone number on it. So I see it and I got this grin on my face. I look up at him. I'm like, nigga. And he's like, what? I'm like, bruh, look at this right here. I flip over the joint. I show it to him. He sees her name and her number. He's like, nigga, I told you that was going to be your type, Joe. And it's crazy that I brought you here just so you could see her to prove to you that she's your type. And she ended up giving you her number. She feel it. I'm like, yo, that is crazy because I'm not even fresh. Like, I wouldn't expect it, to say. I wasn't going to say anything to her because I'm not fresh out the barber shop, nothing like that. But she actually didn't care, gave me her information just based off of looks because we didn't exchange many words outside of, the typical stuff you would say to a waitress in a restaurant. So I'm feeling good about myself now, right? Go back to the base. I think I sent her a really quick text message just to let her know that I did receive her number. I did think she was cute. I was planning on talking to her at a later date. And then thus begins boy meets girl, right? We start having these phone conversations. We start really getting to know one another and trying to, figure out what common interests we have, what common likes we have, things like that. The stuff you expect to do when you first meet somebody and you really don't know anything about them. Couple months pass. I say a couple months. I think I may be exaggerating. I think it may have been like maybe 3 weeks that it actually passed. And it got to that point where we knew that we liked each other, like really liked each other. Like the attraction was there, everything was there, right? So the conversations started to shift to things that are uh, more adult related. Like, and we had to figure out because I knew that I wanted to. She knew that she wanted to. But being the gentleman that I was at that time, I'm like, okay, but before we do this, I need to know like how much experience do you have? Um, and she was telling me that she's only been with one guy prior to me. That was her first, and that happened over like the summer of I think the prior year, the previous year. And she was like, they used to, sleep together like 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, which I thought was like a lot. And I'm like, oh, if she's got a lot of experience. She knows what she likes. She knows what she doesn't like. Because if she's got that much experience with one person, why wouldn't she know what she likes, what she doesn't like, what she wants to try, at least, right? So I'm thinking, cool, cool, cool. All right. So that's when the discussion was, okay, well, if you have that much experience, is there, when this takes place between you and I, what things do you like? What things do you not like? Because I want to make sure that it's not going to be like, what I mean? You try to do something that I'm not feeling, or I try to do something that you're not feeling, and it just throws the whole vibe off. And she was like, whatever it is, I'm cool. I'm kind of open to whatever you want to do. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it rather rather normal. Normal is not not a good word. I'm gonna keep it regular. I think that's the word. That's a better word. I'm gonna keep everything regular. So now we're in the planning stages. Like we trying to figure out when we're gonna do this. And the first song that's popping in my mind right now is that song by J. Cole called Wet Dreams. That's the song that's popping in my mind right now. That's exactly how I felt, ironically. J. Cole, that was a masterpiece, bro. You put that song together, I think all of us young men have gone through that at around that age. So um we're planning this thing out now. So she's telling me what her schedule is, that she works on weekends. I'm off on weekends. So the only time she told me what her off days were, they were doing weekdays. I work Monday through Friday. But I'm like, man, you know what? For this, I'm going to call off sick on that particular day that she's off of work to make sure that we're both off of work. That day comes, I call off sick. We had a conversation the night before. So she's already knowing what time she's going to come to the dormitory, to my room in the dormitory on base. So I call off sick. And then I told her all you need to do is when you pull up to the main gate of the Air Force Base, you need to let them know, let security forces know who you're here to see, because they're going to stop your car if they don't see the military decal. You let them know who you're here to see. They're going to check their logbook to make sure that the name that you gave them lines up with the dormitory number and the room number that you said. And then they're going to have you walk over to the visitor center, which is probably like 60 feet away from the booth, and they're going to give you like a little decal to put, excuse me, to put on the dashboard of your car, so that everybody knows that you're a visitor who has been properly signed in and identified on the base. She does so, then she comes to my room. When she gets to my room, um I didn't have cable. I think I may have had like a DVD player or something like that, so I put something on just so we can kind of kick back and kind of enjoy each other's company, speaking and things. And then one thing starts to lead to another. We get to kissing, we get to doing, all of that stuff that J. Cole is talking about in his song Wet Dreams. And next thing you know, it's going down. And we are very much in sync with one another while this is taking place. This is great. Now, this is, when I say this is my girlfriend, I mean, this is, the feeling is very euphoric. Like, there are people that you date that you may like, but there are people that you date and you end up in a relationship with, and you get like a certain level of pride, or you know what I mean? It's your excitement, I think is the word I'm looking for. Every time you get a chance to see them, to talk to them, you have this excitement. That's what I had with this particular young lady. That's what she had with me. So, like I said, the chemistry in this particular department is it's off the chain, right? After we're done, however, I look down and I notice I've got like blood, like around my, my man parts, and I'm just like, yo, did I just bust blood? Like, what the hell is going on? Did a blood vessel break or something? Like, why is there blood down here? She reaches for the wet wipes, washcloth, whatever it may have been, to like clean the blood off. And she explains, she's like, no, no, it's cool. She's like, what happened was, I think you just broke my hymen or whatever. And I'm like, broke your hymen? Yeah, but only virgins have hymens. You told me that you last year you had like a boyfriend that you were, you know, humping like rabbits with 3, 4, 5 times a day. Like, how in the world do you still have a hymen? She's like, well, I ain't want to put all his business out there like that, but his stuff not like, it's not like your stuff, so it couldn't do the stuff that your stuff was doing. And I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense. Okay, didn't think nothing of it. So anyway, we go on, we continue dating, we continue hooking up, planning all of these activities so that we can do this thing as often as possible, right? Um, Ultimately, what ends up happening is things have gotten very serious between myself and her at this point. And I'm at a point now, I was in Airman First Class, but I was at a point where the military installation was having so many new airmen come in that they needed more dorm rooms available so they can house the new airmen. So they were letting people who were below the rank of E4, which would be a senior airman, they were letting people that were airman first class, airman basics, airman first class, airman basics, airman, and airman first class, they were giving us an opportunity to move off base. And I'm like, whoa, I'm like, that's job perfect, right? Me and my little girl, we getting real serious. We doing all of these adult things. We might as well put ourselves in a real life adult situation, right? So I let my first sergeant know I'm interested in moving off base. How much money are you guys going to provide me to cover, my basic allowance for housing and my basic allowance for subsistence, so I can, kind of figure out a budget that she and I are going to have. Now, I think they were going to give me something like maybe four. I think they were giving me like $500 for housing, and they were giving me like maybe $250 or $300 for subsistence. So it's an additional $800 on top of what I was already getting paid on the first and the 15th. So I started going out and looking for apartments. And well, not really going out. I was looking for them on the internet. And then pressure was built, because one day my girl called me and she was like very, very distraught. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? And she's like, yo, can you just come over here to my house? She lived with her mom. Okay. She's like, can you just come over here to my house? My mom is getting on my nerves. She keep yelling about this and that and the third. I don't know what the fuck going on. And I just need to get out of this place. So I'm like, all right, bet. Um, Mind you, again, at the time, my car wasn't secured just yet. I was still in the process of finding the right car. So I had a friend of mine's. He drove me right off because she lived right across the street from the base in a little housing area that was behind it. So we drive over there and I'm like, yo, what's good? Give her a hug, greet her, a little quick kiss. I'm like, what's happening? What's all this chaos? And she's like, me and my mom are getting into it. I just need to, and she's telling me I need to get out of her house and, da 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 da. And I'm like, get out of her house. You sure you just can't talk to her? Y'all can't just like talk it out? Like, you sure you gotta like be, and I'm seeing like she's grabbing stuff, like trying to pack a little bit of stuff here and there. And she's like, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? I'm like, yeah, I can help you, but are you sure you don't want to at least have a conversation with your moms first? See if the situation can be sorted out before it gets to this point. She was frustrated. She didn't want to have anything of it. Her mother really didn't want to have anything of it. And mind you, this is the first time I had saw her mother. So we put a little bit of her stuff that she wanted to take with her in the car, in the trunk with her. She got in the trunk and we were dropping her off at her aunt's house, which was closer to the mall, which was maybe about 20 minutes, 22 minutes away from where her mom lived. So once we got there, she's like, yeah, I'm gonna call you later on tonight. We can talk some more and figure out what's going on. I'm like, cool. So later on that night, she ends up calling me. It was kind of late too. I think it was maybe 10 something, 11 something at night. She ends up calling me and she's like, I'm like, yo, what's going on? What happened? And she was like, no, my mom got mad at me because I had let a friend of mine uh use my car while I was at work to go get it washed, to take it to the car wash or something like that. Cause she was complaining that my car was a mess, that it needed to be vacuumed, that it needed to be cleaned, and all of this mess. I didn't have time to do it because I was at work. So I had a friend of mine drive it to the car wash to get it, to get it cleaned or whatever like that. And she caught an attitude about that. And I'm just like, how the fuck? In my mind, all I'm thinking is, how the hell did she even find out? You know what I mean? But I'm not asking the right questions at the right time. All right. So she expresses to me that, her aunt is on her way home or something like that. She was like, this is the number where she'll be. So anytime I see this number come up on the call ID, you'll know it's her calling. But she's like, don't call this number because my aunt don't want anybody calling her house phone. Okay. And again, this was, I guess, kind of understandable because you were just staying there. She was only staying there temporarily, I guess. And I can kind of understand if her aunt is not used to the phone ringing at certain hours of the night. She doesn't want anything to change. Okay. She's looking out for you because you're her niece. She wants to wait till things blow over between you and her mom. Makes sense to me. So it was what she asked. I respected it. Now, the apartments that I was looking up online, I found one and I said, I need to go see this apartment because now my girl is in a situation where, her and her mother, they've been getting into it. They're not getting along. And she's staying with her aunt who can kind of place certain restrictions on how often we can talk via phone, and probably won't even want me over there. So I'm like, okay. The next day, I go into down Broad Street, and I come across this apartment, and I want to take a look at it. Guy from the leasing office, female, I can't remember. They take me to see the apartment. They give me the keys, let me do a walkthrough, and the apartment was probably about, if I had to guess, it might have been about 620 square feet. There, you come in the front door, there's a dining room right in front of you. The living room's next to the dining room. The kitchen is behind the dining room. There's a small hallway where the bathroom is and a linen closet, and then a doorway that takes you into the bedroom, which had a walk-in closet. It was, you know what I mean? It was gonna make do for a single person or even a couple. And the rent on this particular place was only like $380 for this one bedroom apartment, all utilities included. I said, oh, this is perfect. They're already giving me an additional $500. So this is going to take care, that $500 will take care of the rent. And obviously, they're giving me $300 for food. So I can take care of the food. And then I still got an additional, what, like $120 to put towards, I don't know, maybe cable or whatever the hell else we were going to need, plus my paychecks to be able to take care of. Yeah, I'm like, yo, yeah, this is going to work. So I go look at the apartment. They give me a lease. I take the lease back to base with me because I want my supervisor to look it over, so I can make sure I'm getting myself into something solid. And needless to say, I call her mother because I'm one of those guys that likes to play peacekeeper. I don't like seeing when somebody that I care about is getting into it with somebody that they care about, especially because they didn't take the opportunity to try to sort the situation out. So I call her mother And when I call her mother, this mind you, I didn't meet her mother prior to this. I didn't even see her mother when I went over there to help her put the little bit of stuff in the car so that she can get to her aunt's house. So I call her mother, and I'm like, "Yes, ma'am. This is Rayhan. I'm your daughter's boyfriend. I'm the one that showed up a couple days ago to to take her to her aunt's house." And she was like, "Rayhan." She's like, I'm looking at your number. She's like, "It's the first time I heard your name. I thought her boyfriend's name was like Damon or Damon or something like that." I'm like, I could see how Damon and Rayhan kind of sound similar, but no, yeah, I'm her boyfriend. I just wanted to call and touch bases with you and let you know that, your daughter's okay. I did drop her off at her aunt's house. And she is doing well. I'm not sure why you guys are so upset. And she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell you why I'm so upset, Rayhan. First off, I want to say thank you for calling me and letting me know she's okay." But she's like, "I'm gonna tell you why I'm upset." She was like, "You know that car that she drive, because she drove a silver Cavalier, Chevy Cavalier." And she's like, "You know that car that she's driving, I pay for that car. That car's in my name. Now it's for her to get back and forth to work and wherever she got to go, but it's in my name. So I set kind of like limitations on what she can do with the car. You can go out, you can have fun with your friends, you can go back and forth to work, but you need to be back home by this time with the car." So she said what happened was she was out somewhere and she saw the car at one of those little restaurants, and she was confused by that because she know that her daughter told her that she was at work that particular day. So she's like, "Well, if she's at work, why is her car in this location, which is not where she works?" So she said she followed the car because she wanted to, I guess, figure out where her daughter was. Okay. So when she followed the car, she said she followed it to like a little back road area. And when she pulled up to the car, not really pulled up to the car, but when she pulled up to where the car was parked without saying anything, she said she saw like three guys that were sitting in her car eating fish sandwiches. I wanted to laugh when she told me that, and I still laugh because I'm like, that is a detail that I did not need, but thank you for it, I guess. And she's like, "They're eating fish sandwiches." So she's like, "Where's my daughter at?" And they was like, "Who are you?" And she was like, "I'm Jatika's mother, and this is my car that I got for my daughter. Where is she?" And they was like, "Oh yeah, she let us borrow the car to go take it, to get washed or whatever. We're supposed to get it cleaned up." She was like, "Well, if that's what she let y'all use it for, why are you sitting in her car eating fish sandwiches?" And they was like, "My bad. We gonna take the car back to her now." So obviously, when they take the car back to her job, which was the Applebee's, and she gets home, that's what her mother and her had gotten into it about so bad, and she needed to get out of the house because her mother was like, "Well, you can't use the car no more. You go straight to work. You go back home. You can't go out hang out with your friends and nothing because I can't trust you to not let nobody else drive this car." So that's what they had gotten into it for. So I'm like, "It's cool. You know what I mean? I understand." Like I just told you, I'm her boyfriend. She's gonna be moving in with me. I'm about to get an apartment off base. I am in the military. I'm stationed right across the street from your house on Shaw Air Force Base. I've gone to look at an apartment, and she and I are gonna move into that apartment as soon as I sign the lease and everything clears. So I was like, "Cool. I wanna, I appreciate you letting me know that. Let me know that my daughter's, she's safe and everything like that." So I'm like, "All right, bet." In the midst of all of this happening, her mother calls her aunt's house where she is, and she goes back home to her mother's house because I'm still waiting probably like 2 weeks, 3 weeks for them to get the apartment ready. I've signed the lease, but they got to go in there. They got to steam clean the carpets. They got to paint the walls. They got to do all that stuff to make the apartment ready for you to move into, right? So during that time that I'm waiting, she's back at her mom's house. And then one day her mother calls me and she's like, "Hey, Rayhan," it's like, "Is my daughter with you?" And I'm like, "No, she's not with me. Last I heard, she had moved back in with you." She was like, "Yeah, but I came home and all of her stuff is gone." And I'm like, "What do you mean it's gone?" She was like, "Well, you said that she was about to move in with you into, an apartment." I'm like, "Yeah, as far as I know, that is still the plan. What do you mean all of her stuff is gone?" She's like, "I left out this morning to go to work." And she's like, "It's odd because this morning the phone rang at like 5 a.m. this morning or something like that, which is usually around the time that I'm gone for work. But on this particular day, I had a doctor's appointment, so I didn't go to work. And she's like, yeah, the phone rang. I answered the phone. When I said hello, whoever was on the other end, they hung up. So I looked at the call ID and it said Damon. And I'm like, there she is saying Damon again. Now I'm Rayhan. Damon and Rayhan do sound kind of alike, but there she is saying his name, Damon again, right? So she's like, yeah, they hung up or whatever like that. So I was just like, whatever, maybe it was the wrong number. So she's like, I lay back down and I wake up a couple hours later when it's time for my appointment, and then I leave out to go to my appointment. Doctor's appointment of some kind. She's like, I'm gone for just a couple hours, and when I come back, I come in the house and all my daughter and all of her stuff is gone. And it looked like she left in a rush because like I saw like she might have took her right shoe to this pair of shoes and left her left shoe. Like it looked like she tried to grab as much stuff as she can and get out as fast as she can before I came back. And I was like, seriously? I wonder where the hell she is. Now, mind you, at this time, she doesn't have a cell phone. Okay. So I can't call her to get in contact with her to figure out what the fuck is going on. A few days passes. She calls me from a blocked number. It was late at night. Like I almost didn't even answer this shit. It was like close to midnight, but it was a blocked number. I picked the phone up. Something said answer this call. I usually wouldn't, but something told me to answer this call. Because it's probably her. I pick up the phone. It's her, and she's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Yeah, what's up? What's going on? Like I ain't heard from you in a couple of days." And she's like, man, stuff with my mom is just getting crazy. You know, I moved out of my mom's house and da 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 da. And I'm like, so what, you staying with your aunt? And she was like, yeah, I moved in with my aunt. I just had to get all my stuff out of there. And this is the number. I mean, I know I called you from a block number because my aunt really don't want nobody calling her house. But if you see a block number, just know that's me. And if I call you, it's probably gonna be like late like this when my aunt is asleep, what I mean, and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, what's good though? I just went out looking at an apartment, just signed an apartment for, just signed a lease for an apartment so that you and I can, be chilling. We have our own little spot. And she was like, okay, yeah, yeah, that sounds good. And, all of this and that. The excitement wasn't there though. And that was, again, cause for concern because all of this stuff it was very erratic what was going on between her and her moms, especially how she just left in such a rush. And at that time, um, I'm just trying to figure out like I'm still young and still kind of naive, so I'm not piecing all of this together. It just to me comes off like whatever's going on between her and her mother is more serious than I think it is. Maybe her mother's playing this sweet role for me because she don't know me. I don't know. Okay. So fast forward, ultimately what ends up happening is she has a brother. He's older than her, and her brother, um, he actually ends up calling me, and he's telling me he was like, "Man, that girl ain't. She don't live with my aunt. She's like, I go over my aunt's house on a regular basis. She don't live with my aunt. I don't know where she at." So that's what was really a cause for concern. So I'm like, well, she told me that she was living with my aunt. She's like, boy, I'm trying. Her brother, his name is Eddie, if I'm not mistaken. His name is Eddie. Cool dude, cool dude. I think Eddie is I think he's a homosexual. I'm almost positive he's a homosexual, but he is a cool dude. He almost comes off, even though he's her older brother, he kind of comes off like he's her big sister, but cool dude. And he's like, yeah, I'm trying to tell you, boys, she don't live with my aunt. She ain't staying with my father, none of them. Cause I go over there and I see those people on a regular basis. She is not dead. None of them have heard from her in weeks. And now I'm really confused, right? So one day, after I get this information, I go to the mall to pay my phone bill. Now, at this time, we didn't have a lot of online paying and all of that stuff. You either had to pay it in person or you had to mail them a check or money order so it can be paid. But at that age that I was, 19, 20, I needed an excuse to go to the mall anyway. So I always preferred to just go to the mall, to the phone place, pay my bill in person. Okay. So when I'm at the mall, I'm cool with the people who work at the phone store where I pay my bill. And I'm explaining to them like, yo, I don't know what's up with my girl, man. Some crazy shit is happening. Like her and her mom keep getting into it. They don't know where she at. She called me very like sporadically at weird hours of the night. I just signed a lease to an apartment so she and I can move together so all of that stuff can be, it gets a chance to cool down, and she and I can continue to move forward. But man, I'm not sure what the fuck going on. But at this time, she had no longer been working at the Applebee's. She had gotten a new job at like a video store or something like that. That was just a little bit down the street from the Applebee's. So I'm like, yeah, I know she'd be on her way to work at around this time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna simply go past her job and I'm gonna talk to her because she told me it's best if I want to talk to her to come past her job instead of trying to call her aunt's phone. And she was like, yeah, just talk to her, see what she tells you, see what you can figure out. So I'm like, all right, so it's about that time. So, I let next time I see y'all, I'll let y'all know what's up. So I leave them all, get in my car, and I'm on my way to her job. Now, mind you, it's only from the mall to this particular video store might be a 2 minute drive. It's like I said, everything is in close proximity. So I decide that I'm gonna go out of a different exit from the mall so that I just had to make a right and then a quick left onto Broad Street 378 to reach her job instead of going out the regular way I would, which would take me back to the base, which was in the opposite direction. So I go out of the other exit and I'm sitting there. I need to make a right turn to get onto the street, but I have to look to my left to make sure that there's no oncoming traffic before I make this right turn. When I look to my left, I see a car that is approaching me. I can't remember what the car was, but I'm looking in the car because it's approaching at a speed that I'm able to clearly see that there's a driver and a passenger. In the passenger seat, I see her. My girlfriend is in the passenger seat of this car. Now I kind of had to squint my eyes. I'm like, that's fucking her right there? Makes sense because she is on her way to work. There's a guy in the driver's seat. Now, I don't know what kind of emotions I felt at that moment. There was confusion. There may have been some anger. Like I couldn't figure all of these emotions out because I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? I ain't seen her. I ain't, she talking to me sporadically. She ain't living with her moms. I don't know where the fuck she at. And then I see her in the passenger seat of a car with some guy driving. So I pull out. I'm actually behind the car at this point because I know where I'm going. I assume that this car is going to the exact same location, which is her job, which is where I was going to talk to her. I pull out behind the car. The car turns into the parking lot. I turn into the parking lot. I park my car. The other car is already parked right. And I get out of the car before any of them do. I get out of the car, not upset, but I get out of the car to make sure that my presence is noticed. She's hesitant on getting out of the passenger seat of the car, right? He's like talking to her, yeah, 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 blah, 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 da, 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 just whatever conversation they may have been having on the way there. He's continuing that conversation. She is very like she's trying to make a decision because she knows she got to go to work. She know I'm standing right here. She knows she has to come past me to get into work. So she opens up the door. She steps out. I'm like, "What's up, baby? What's going on with you? I might have just came up here to holler at you." And she's like, "Rayhan, I don't want you no more. Leave me alone." And I'm like, "Huh? The fuck?" So then I look. This is when the guy gets out of the car. And he's looking confused too. She storms off and she goes into the video store, which is her place of work. And he's looking confused. He's kind of looking like, why is she upset? And he looks at me and he's like, you said that was your girlfriend? I said, yeah, nigga. He's like, nah, that's my girl. And I was like, your girl? He goes into the video store to talk to her. She don't come back out to talk to me, and I'm not gonna go in to talk to her because now her manager's like, I don't know why she's upset, but y'all need to leave. Y'all can't be right here because y'all can't. I'm not gonna have none of my workers at work crying or upset or nothing like that. So I'm sitting up here like still not getting the information that I need. I get back in my car. I go back to the mall, to the phone store where, like I said, the people that work there are familiar with me. I would call them associates. And I'm explaining to them what just happened, overwhelmed with like all of these different feelings and trying to keep all of this shit bottled up inside because now it's starting to make sense to me why she was saying you can't call my aunt's phone at a certain you can't call this phone number because she don't like people calling her house, why I didn't know where she was living, making starting to make sense why somebody else had her car and was taking it to the car wash. I'm like really starting to put all of these things together. And then I thought about what her mother was telling me. And her mother was like, yeah, I had went back to her mother's house. I'm like, yo, I just saw her. she works at the video store now, but there was some other guy with her. And she was like, what did he look like? And when I explained to him, she's like, do you know his name? It's like, I don't know the guy's name, but he was telling me that he's her boyfriend. Like, he knew nothing of me and I knew nothing of him. She's like, I think, I think whoever that guy was, it's the guy it's the guy, Damon, who called my phone 5 o'clock the morning that she left. I think that's who that guy is. And I was like, this is starting to make sense now. Everything is coming together. And I'm just like, what in the fuck? So, needless to say, I had no way of getting in contact with her. She didn't have she didn't have a cell phone. She didn't have any way to communicate with me except by a landline phone. Okay. She wasn't living with her aunt. She was actually living with this guy. Her brother reached out to me when he found out that I had spoken to her mother again. And he was like, I tried to tell you that she wasn't living with no aunt. She wasn't living with my father. She's like, if you really want to talk to her, because she wouldn't talk to you at work, you said, if you really want to talk to her, I can set it up so you can talk to her. But it's going to kind of be like, I got to do it differently. Because if she know you there, she might not come. So I'm going to take you with me to our dad's house. She's going to come over there thinking she's going to meet me, and then you can be right there present to talk to her. We pull off this maneuver. I'm there. She pulls up when she gets off work or whatever the case may be. She pulls up. She realizes I'm there. She breaks down in tears. All of these, I'm sorry. All of this, I'm angry. All of this, and I'm just like, I still don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm still as confused as a deer in the headlights. You know what I mean? I'm still trying to figure this shit out. So she's like, I'm gonna call you tonight, and we gonna talk, and whatever. At this point, I want to say I didn't care, but I know I did. Um, she ends up calling me and she's expressing to me that she's in a whole new relationship. Uh, uh, Actually, no, she didn't admit that. She was telling me that she's staying with a friend of hers, and his name is Damon. I immediately made the connection to her mother. She don't know that I had the conversation with her mother about her well-being. And she's like, yeah, his name is Damon. You know what I mean? He's my friend. He's been my friend for like over 10 years or something like that. I'm like, how old is this guy? And she's like, well, he's 30. Mind you, at the time I'm only 20. She's only 18. I'm like, how the hell he been your friend for 10 years? He been your friend since you was 8 years old and he was 20? And she was like, well, he was a close friend of the family, so he kind of watched me grow up and all of this mess. And what happened was he ended up going to jail a few years ago, like maybe like 3, 4 years ago, and all of this and that and other. And he only just got out of jail just recently. And I'm like, the fuck? You telling me that a 20-year-old man who your brother don't know and ain't cool with, who your mother has very vague knowledge of, was cool with you when you were 8 years old? Kind of sound like he was grooming you. Like he was just waiting for you to become an adult so he could do adult things with you and it wouldn't be a crime. That's what it sounded like to me. It's like, nah, that's not what it was. Like, you know what I mean? I needed some place to stay because my mother was getting on my nerves. And I'm like, yeah, I told you that I had just signed the lease to an apartment for us. And she was like, yeah, but it just, she wasn't stopping and I needed to get out of there fast. And he had his own place and he offered me to come stay with him. So because I was familiar with him, I just went. And I was like, where the fuck are you sleeping at? She's like, it ain't like that. I sleep in the bedroom, but if like he sleep in the same bed, he'll sleep on top of the covers. I'm under the covers. I'm like, son, I know you cannot think. I might be 20, but I'm not stupid. It ain't no way that a 30-year-old man got a fine woman staying in his house. She ain't paying no rent, no utilities, and she's sleeping in the same bed, and it ain't no adult situational type stuff going on. And she's like, nah, he not like that. Da, 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 da. So I'm like, yeah, whatever, Joe. Whatever, man. Look, you do you. I'm gonna do me. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So she's like, well, I don't want you to be mad at me and nothing like that. I'm trying to tell you it's not like that. Just give me a little bit of time and blah, blah, blah. Like, man, I don't want to hear that shit. Hang up the phone on her. And then I start sorting through my mind. I'm like, she's in a relationship with this motherfucker. This dude is definitely fucking her because it ain't no way he just spent the last 3, 4 years in jail with no woman. And then he gets out, and the 8-year-old girl that he was grooming into adulthood is now staying in his house. Clearly, he's been infatuated with you since he was 20 for the last 10 years. and he ain't had no woman in 3 or 4 years, ain't no way y'all in the same house, sleeping in the same bedroom, in the same bed. There ain't nothing going on. You must think I'm stupid. So, needless to say, I had to drop that situation. However, she continues to call me like very sporadically, very randomly at these late hours of the night. She'll continue to call me and want to have these conversations, trying to explain things, trying to make it seem like it's not what it actually is, and that I'm a fall for this shit, right? This is what happens. Her boyfriend, Damon, because that's exactly what he was, her boyfriend, he finds out that these phone calls are taking place because when the phone bills are being delivered by mail to his house, he's screening the phone bill to figure out what numbers are being called. And he keeps seeing a number that is on Shaw Air Force Base being called every night at a certain time. He, excuse me, he asks her about it. She doesn't say what it is. So his suspicions are already up because he knows that you're the only person in the house. And if he's not making the calls, it's you. And you don't know who you're calling at that time or who's calling you. So he's already got his suspicions up. He convinces her to prove her loyalty to him. All right. Because he's aware that these phone calls have to be to another guy, most likely me. Right. He's suspicious of her and he's asking her to prove her loyalty to him. So what he tells her to do, he tells her to go put a restraining order against me. Go put a restraining order against him to prove to me that you're loyal to me and that you don't want him no more. Her dumbass goes down to the court and she files for a protective order. She doesn't have any justification for it, but she files for a protection order to prove to him that's what's going on. And obviously, she's going to try to prove it to him because she lives in his house. Without his house, where the fuck are you going to go? Especially because you betrayed me. You know what I mean? You don't want to go back to your mom's house. So she's doing all of these things to prove to him that she's loyal to him and that things between she and I are over, despite all of these phone conversations that he caught her making. So she goes and files for a protective order. They send me notice in the mail, or perhaps they sent it to my squadron. I really can't remember. But when I got the notice, I went down to the court hearing and I took my phone with me, fully charged, with every single time that she called me saved, right? Because I was about to bust her ass out and make her look stupid in front of this guy when they showed up in the courthouse. So I'm waiting. I think I'm in there like 4 hours before they called up my case. She doesn't show up. I'm kind of pissed. The judge dismisses the case and I'm like, nah, can we wait until she get here? Because now, like I said, I'm very surgical with how I'm gonna destroy somebody when they try to make me look foolish or when you try to do something to damage my image or reputation. So, like I said, I had my phone with me, fully charged, saved every single time she had called me so that I can show that to the judge, which obviously her boyfriend would have saw, and he would have known, he would have made a connection immediately that, bro, she might be with you doing all of these things with you, but nigga, she still want me. You know what I'm saying? I'm truth be told, I'm her first. Like that whole Hyman's, I'm her first. That's a bond that you couldn't share. That's probably what your monkey ass was planning the whole time that you was in jail, the grooming her up until she was 18. You were planning on being the first to be with this girl, but it wasn't you. It was me. You know what I mean? And that's a bond that will never break. She'll remember me for the rest of her life, even if you and her remain together or not. You know what I mean? But they never showed up. Judge dismissed it. I want to say like a week and a half later, another petition for a protective order showed up. And I'm like, look, they're not going to keep interrupting my work schedule. I'm not going to keep going back and forth to this court. The last time I went with everything I needed to prove my case, they didn't even fucking show up. I'm not even going to this one. Turns out she did go and he did go. It's like we got wrong dates or something. And they ruled in her favor simply because I didn't show up. Not because I was stalking this young lady or anything like that, but simply because I wasn't there to defend. They gave it to her by default. So the first time I went, they must have given her the wrong date. And the second time they notified us was, I guess, the correct date. I don't fucking know. But the restraining order ended up going through. I'm not tripping off of it because I don't have any intention on coming around your monkey ass anyway. Like I said, now I know you're a fucking liar. Now I know you're a fucking cheater. Now I know that you're psychologically off. Clearly, okay? Your family don't even fucking trust you. So I'm cool with it. Whatever. Ain't gonna hurt me. So one day, and this is months later, I'm at the barbershop. Now, again, in Sumter, Sumter is such a small town, you're gonna run into everybody at all the little local places you go to the barbershop, you go to the grocery store, I don't give a fuck where you're going, you're going to run into the same group of people. I'm at the barbershop. And while I'm at the barbershop on this particular day, I'm sitting in the barber's chair. I'm getting my hair lined up. I'm getting my hair trimmed down, all of that stuff, getting myself fresh for the weekend so we can go to we were going to go to Columbia, which is, a lot more things to do for people who are in my age bracket. So in the barbershop walks Damon, which is her boyfriend. At this time, I think she's like a couple months pregnant by this guy. Mind you, the age gap is she's 18, he's 31. Okay, this is the age gap between them. And I'm just like, man, he walks in the barbershop. He's still steaming at the fact that his girl who lives with him has been still, prior to the restraining order thing, has had all these conversations with me. I'm not thinking about him or her at this point. So my barber's done. He's still sitting in the chair. I walk past him. I kind of give him a look like, you know what I mean? Like you're a nobody to me. He kind of got this steaming look on his face, like really agitated, like he wanted to do something, but he wasn't. I leave out the barbershop. I get in my car, start the engine, and I'm on my way back to base, which is literally across the street. But I gotta get out of the parking lot, make a right and a quick left before I can make another left to get into the base. I believe that road is called 441 because there's a barbershop that literally sits in a shopping center that's right at the intersection of 378 and 441, right across the street from the Giant Food or Shoppers Food, whatever it may be, Food Line. I think it was a Food Line. So while I'm in my car, I pull up to the exit of the parking lot, and I'm ready to make this right turn. But again, I got to look to my left to make sure that oncoming traffic is clear before I make the right turn and jump out there. And when I look to my left, I see her, pregnant, sitting in the driver's seat of a car. Right now, she does not look at me. She probably spotted me when I came out the barbershop, but she does not look at me at all. She, like, you can see she's fiercely trying to look passive and look straight, like she doesn't even see me. So I know that whatever disputes have been taking place between she and he have gotten pretty serious to the point where he has her. She's probably ashamed of the fact that she filed a fucking protective order against me fraudulently, and probably trying to appease him by making him believe that she and I are, not, or proving to him that she and I have no more involvement. Whatever the case may be. So anyway, I see her. She doesn't look. I don't speak. I don't stop my car. I just going about my business. That was the last time I had seen her. Now, 10 years later, through the power of technology, we have social media platforms, Facebook. Now, she ends up finding me on Facebook. Now, she finds me because I ended up, after her, dating another young lady who, lo and behold, was her cousin through marriage. So she knew about us dating, and she was friends with her cousin, and she knew that, well, she looked through her cousin's friends list to find me and sent me a friend request. Okay. So, mind you, this is 10 years later. So, I had gotten out of the military in '03. I left South Carolina in '03. She finds me on Facebook. I see a friend request, and I'm looking, I'm like, Jatika, is this? I only know one person by this name. So, I click on a profile and I'm looking through her pictures, and sure as shit, this is my ex-girlfriend. So, I accept her ad request. All that shit that happened, that's water under the bridge. That shit is long forgotten to me. It don't even matter at this point. I accept her friend request. I log off of Facebook. It didn't even dawn on me how she found me, because she wouldn't have known where the hell I lived at. But soon as I log back into Facebook, which is at some point later on that day, you know how we all get bored and we want to open up Facebook and Instagram or X, Twitter, and you just want to scroll for a quick second to see what's going on before you close the app. The very next time I opened up Facebook, after I accepted her ad request, there was a DM. It was from her. Hey, oh my God, I've been trying to figure out where you was at. Are you still in the military down here? You still in South Carolina? Whoop de woo. We need to talk. Here go my phone. Here, send me your phone number so I can call you. And I'm looking at this shit and I'm like, I'll play along. So I send her my phone number. I didn't say anything else. Just I replied with my phone number. No sooner than I hit the send button, my fucking phone rings. It's her on the other end of it. hey boo, what's going on? How you doing? Da, da, da. Oh my God, I've been thinking about you all this time. I've been trying to figure out where you was at and when I was gonna see you. Are you still down here in South Carolina? And I'm like, nah, I'm back up north now. I left South Carolina more than 10 years ago. And she's like, oh, okay. I was wondering why I didn't run into you at any of the places around Sumter and all of that mess. So, how you doing? This and that and the third. Da, da, da. I'm like, I'm good. How you doing? She, excuse me. She's like, she's like, oh, I'm cool. I'm cool. You know what I mean? I got two children now. I got a son. I got a daughter. And da 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 da. I was like, oh, for real? Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Now, mind you, at this time, I didn't have any children yet. As far as I knew, she was going to be the mother of my children. I didn't have any children, so to hear her say she had two was like, whoa, you know what I mean? But I was like, yeah, that's what's up. How's things going between you and your boyfriend? And she was like, that sorry ass nigga. And I'm like, come again? And she's like, this nigga, me and this nigga ended up, we got two kids together. We ended up getting married, right? I'm like, wow. And I'm thinking to myself, this nigga literally stole my motherfucking life. And she's like, yeah, I didn't say this to her. I'm thinking it to myself. And she's like, yeah, we ended up getting married or whatever. Da, 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 da. We got our two kids. We ended up moving into this house that we was renting from this person, nice house or whatever for the family. And this nigga, he had just got out of jail on felony charges or whatever. So he been having a hard time finding a job to make the kind of money that he want to make. So, he started like trying to become a rapper or whatever like that. So he turned the basement of our house into like his recording studio. And that's where he would go to write his songs and to try to get them recorded and stuff like that. Meanwhile, I'm always upstairs with our 3-year-old son. I'm pregnant currently with our daughter at the time of these events. And he's got all these people coming in and out of the basement level of the house, to help him with the music, help him write it or make the beats or sing the hooks or whatever, right? This nigga was cheating on me while I was pregnant. Whole time we were married, and while I was pregnant with his daughter, this nigga was cheating on me with all of these different women that he was bringing into our house while I'm upstairs sleep. He is fucking another girl in the basement, telling me, "Oh yeah, I got this girl coming through. She coming through to sing the hook on this song." Whole time, this girl was somebody that was coming through just so he could sleep with. So I'm upstairs taking care of our son and pregnant with our daughter. He's downstairs fucking all these other women in the recording studio, using that as an excuse for the women to even be in the house. Then, after I found out about that, we go to church one day. This nigga puts on his best suit, his absolute best suit, and we go to church, and he decides that today is the day that he want to confess. Today is the day of all days that he want to confess. So in front of the church, he stood up in front of the church. He looked at me in front of the whole church and told me he does not love me. He never did love me. He was cheating on me throughout our whole marriage. And he never wanted to marry her. And the only reason that he did is because people in his family was putting pressure on him to do so because I was a good girl and I had already had his son. She was like, never mind you, when our son was born, he was there in the delivery room. And as soon as I pushed our son out, you know what this nigga did? What? It's like the first thing this nigga said was, that ain't my son. This nigga look just like your ex-boyfriend. He look just like your ex-boyfriend. I knew you was still fucking with this nigga. That ain't my kid. That's that nigga kid. I should leave your ass. And I'm like, seriously? And she was like, yeah, he thought that our son was your son. I mean, because our son is kind of light complexion like me and you. So he just immediately assumed that it was your son. And I'm like, I'm just shaking my head at this shit. Like, it was supposed to be my son. You know what I mean? That was literally supposed to be my son. That was literally supposed to be my wife. That was literally supposed to be my whole family situation. But this nigga came out of jail, motherfucking, and found who he was grooming to get into it. So either way, no big deal. So she explains all of that to me. She was like, yeah, but we divorced now. Me and the kids, we doing cool. He don't even see the kids. He don't want to spend no time with them, nothing like that. I'm dealing with another guy now, and we trying to figure out what we gonna do and da 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 da. But truth be told, this whole time, she's like, Rayhan, I'm still in love with you. And I'm just like, girl, no the fuck you not. You ain't you ain't fucking in love with me. There ain't no way that you did all of that shit right there and you still in love with me. But then again, she did lose her virginity to me. Now she had lied about all of that. I don't know why she lied. I guess she wanted to seem hip. But she did lose her virginity to me, and that is a bond that is going to last a lifetime. You will always remember that person who is your first for the rest of your life. good experience, bad or indifferent, you will always remember that person. So perhaps she was being honest. I don't know. I didn't want to hear that shit though. I was not really going to entertain anything she was saying. So, we wrapped up that phone call. Um, and yeah, that's the tragedy that befell my first girlfriend in the military. She and I are still friends on Facebook. She tried to question me about what was up with me dating her cousin through marriage. Let's be clear, not through blood. Um, she tried to question me about that kind of stuff. I didn't feel the need to explain any of it to her. Hey, you had moved on, you were in a new relationship, you were pregnant, you were a mother, you had done all of these things, you had lied to me. I didn't start talking to this particular girl because I knew that you guys were related. I started talking to her because she was cute. She was very much my type, and she and I shared the same aspirations. We just clicked. That's all it was. That wasn't like some type of revenge situation. It just fell that way. You made your decision, I made mine. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the tragedy that befell my first military girlfriend. I am the real Rayhan. And if you guys enjoyed this story time video, I need you guys to do me a favor. Smash the like button located at the bottom of this video. It helps the video to reach other viewers who will enjoy it as much as you have. And if you guys are interested in joining the channel membership where you'll get access to exclusive membership